Hello again, it's Marx. This time here with Ninetails demo. He's an open scout. I'm not going to really go over the team because it's my understanding that he will not be starting next season. So I'm just pretty much going to stick to him, and I'm pretty much going to stick to his POV, um, just to limit things. You recognize the demo's uncovered, so that's good. You're a little hurt. I'd like to see your medic getting to you as soon as you can. You get a little bit. There you go. So you'll deal with this soldier, yep. And more or less you did exactly what you needed to do at mid as a scout. Now you're poking around. That's perfectly reasonable, and you get the med too. So your team's going to have super huge Uber advantage, and you're ready to push. Things are going to go probably into your favor. Uh, because your friends are getting hurt in there, it wouldn't have been a bad time to pull out the off class. Heavy, preferably. So you guys push in, you walk into a rocket and die. So, having already watched this demo, I would say one thing that you need to work on just personally as a player is paying more attention to what's going on around you, because there are 2 or 3 times in this demo where you walk into rockets or projectiles of various types that you knew had to be coming. This is an important thing to note here. You walked in there and did not check the lip. So I'll just leave it at that and let the video show. So that's one of many drops that you guys have because your team apparently is unaware of the most common sticky trap in the entire game. So, and that's not the first time it happens to you guys, and you were the first one to walk in there, so it's partly your fault. Pretty much any time you walk into that upper lobby as any, or that little upper area, most people call it main, no matter who you are, you should always check it. 100% of the time, the first place you look should be up there. In fact, while you're dicking around in the lobby not doing anything, your pocket soldier's main goal should be to shoot the sides and every possible little nook and cranny of that room in there to make sure that there's no stickies there. And here we go with another mid. So as far as what you've been doing on mid, it's perfectly fine. It could always be better, obviously, but this, what you've been doing so far is great. You get a little too aggressive. There's no reason to poke up in there. It's an unnecessary risk. Because even if you get a kill, it doesn't change the situation at all. And the only person it's going to hurt is you when you die, and your team loses the round because the other team pushes in and caps the point. So now we're in a situation where the enemy's medic and 2 scouts are stuck behind you, and you guys don't realize that. And it's also something that's partly your fault. A lot of people don't do it, but when you play the scout class, you are partly a scout. So your team, which is just sitting still building Uber with 3 of their players stuck behind you, not doing anything, you guys ought to be able to push mid, and you ought to be able to recognize that there aren't the right number of people there. It's a little bit of a risky gamble, it might sound like, but you finally peek out here and you see, ain't nobody here. But ultimately it ends up being too late, and they end up running you all the way back to last. It doesn't matter anymore, you're pushing out. I'd like to see you drop down there and get the big health kit and then just go to Spire, because your number one thing is to become Lord of the Spire. That's the scouts. This is the best scout place in the whole world, is on top of the spire. This engagement over here on the flank is another thing that sort of demonstrates a problem overall with your team and maybe with your comms. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. Is you like this soldier up here and then nothing, like there's nobody immediately behind you. You had a great bunch of meat and you only needed someone to bring some condiments, and you've got a busted flank, and it doesn't happen. Like, you're in and nobody else really is, and then you get lit and you're gone. You do a really good job here of just staying out of the action. And also, one thing that really impressed me with your play is that you don't break my number one rule for Scout, which is don't shoot the medic when he doesn't matter. And you manage to do that a lot of the time. You actually target the people with guns. And it was very refreshing and pleased me. So now you pull out the double Flame Lord, which is a bit of a miscommunication. And you pull out Heavy? Good. I like Heavy. Now, one thing that you do here with your Heavy play that I don't particularly like is you're hiding him. Show him. Now you've gone Sniper. I do not like this. I do not like ever going Sniper on Badlands. You are also at a disadvantage, which means it's okay, possibly, to go Sniper, but the only thing that you're going to accomplish is make them pop sooner, or delay their pop, which is what you probably just did there. Having done that, you needed to run back into spawn and get onto a useful class. Unfortunately, you die coming out of the door to a soldier that you ought to have been able to see out of the glass, so just calm down. One thing I do want to point out about your mid plays is you've gone out of the same doorway every single time. And I don't have a totally accurate count as to whether or not you ever go a different way. But you need to mix it up a little bit. Every now and again, go a different way, or they're going to start being able to target you without having to look. Also here, you make a mistake. You ought to have stayed in at mid. There was no guarantee that your team was going to win this in quite as spectacular a fashion as they did. And your med was healing you, you ought to have stayed in. Just stay in the fight. Your life doesn't matter so much, because what could have easily happened there is that your team ended up dying like they did, and then you're useless. The saying that I have is that a scout with 1 health can still meat shot you, and you're still going to be able to hit people. Now, again, I should point out, you walk under that door without checking it, which will, I believe, yet again, come back and punish your team. This is another thing I felt the need to mention in this demo, is that if you're going to run a pyro on a defense for last, you can't show the pyro. Both teams do this, where their pyro is really aggressive, and that may work on other maps, but on Badlands, you can't have your pyro running around trying to do stuff. He's just going to get destroyed by a scout. This is a perpetual problem in this demo, is that the team can't get into lobby. Like, every time they start to go into lobby, somebody gets killed. And that's just a problem of people not knowing where each other are. And you end up having this same fight over Spire a couple times in a row. And that just can't be. So that's a team coordination issue. See, and again, it's a flashback of what has already happened. Both your scouts push in without any support, and both get killed, and now other people start to die. So you've gone Sniper again at last, and this is just not something that I particularly like, as I discussed earlier. Especially when your team has advantage, you don't really need them to do anything with their Uber, and you would be more helpful as a heavy, because the only thing that they're going to do now is, well, against a team that pushed like a normal team pushed, the only thing that they would do is try and pop your Uber, and a heavy's really effective at preventing that. Instead, they just try to Uber in on you because they had Uber, and end up failing utterly. So, that's just you would be better served going heavy there, especially when you have even the slightest of charge advantages. Badlands just isn't the map to snipe on last. When you play competent teams, you're not going to be able to do anything as a defensive sniper on Badlands, besides make them pop, milliseconds prior to when they would have popped anyways. And that there was an example of something where you really ought to have your eyes somewhere else. You can't do anything about anything at choke. So, as a scout player, watch the valleys or the sides. Have your demo watch choke or something, because he's way better at that. So now we're going to watch another mid, and I'm not going to do the overview cam. Dread knows that you scouts are coming out of the house, and so he's just spamming you from in the valley. And it's causing your scout partner this time to eat a bunch of damage. So, if anything, on this map, and every map, as a scout, you should vary which doorway you come out of, much like the roamer, just so that they can't pre-sticky you. Or in this case, pre-pipe you. So watch another mid. Really, your mids are fine for scout. This time you get a little over-invested in threatening Dread, and that's unfortunate. What I would have liked to have seen you do there is just walk along the left side. You might have taken another sticky, but you would have been more effectively able to contest that soldier, and you needed to get back to your med to get healed anyways as soon as you got down to 98. I actually really like your move to go to the Spire here. Basically, whenever your team has advantage fighting in yard, which you guys do, both in Uber and in numbers at that point, your going to the Spire forces the whole rest of their team that may be trying to flank you or may be stuck behind to do something really aggressive so that they can stop you capping the Spire, and it basically breaks their defense. Now, I should be careful to state one thing here. Every time you walk in on this lobby, you've got to check it. You didn't check it. Your combo drops in it for like the third time. And anytime the demo man is staring at something, like Dread was eagle-eyeing that trap, he had eagle eyes on that trap. He was staring at it and doing absolutely nothing else. They even had a scout up there staring at it for him, too. So, you've got to know that when the demo man is staring at something like that, it's because he wants to kill you with something that you don't know about yet. So this time right here, it's the soldiers on the Spire, I know, but that demo is there by himself with only the med. I don't know if you were waiting on that other scout to flank and get the pop out. There were two things you could have done there. One, if you knew that scout was going for the flank, don't approach them like that because you won't get killed. Two, if you didn't know that scout was there, you're a scout. He's a demo man. You run at him and make them pop instead of playing as passively as you did. A scout v demo man, even a demo that's being healed, is pretty much the best 1v1 that you're going to get in this game as a scout player. So here's another example of a situation where you just killed a scout on Spire, and then you just run in by yourself, and you needed to slow down just a little bit, and now your team would be pushing 6v4 into last. So now we're headed out to the last mid-fight here. Your scout gets destroyed by a pipe and then killed by a scout. That's bad, and that means your medic needs to start getting out. Essentially, if your demo or a scout are the first people to die at mid's over. If a scout is the first person to die at mid, your medic needs to start backing out unless you get a bunch of frags really quickly, because you've probably lost the mid. The only person More important than the demo man at mid is any of the scouts. So I'm going to show an old Clockwork demo while I talk here for my closing little bit. I didn't go over your demo as carefully because I know you're not playing for that team anymore, judging by the looking threads, and also because I know you're looking for a backup position. So, who knows how much you'll get to play next season. So, in short, here are a couple things. Mid fights, you do basically exactly what a scout ought to do. You look out for bombers, you pressure the demo. There are two things I would change about what you do at mid. One, look into pressuring scouts early sometimes. I don't know if it's the other scout's job, and that you were solely pressure the demo, run defense. But for the most part, what you did on mid is perfectly fine for a scout. The only thing you need to really change is change which door you come out of. Do that on every mid, in every map. You gotta change where you come out of at the start every now and again, or their demo's gonna start pre-firing you. And that a lot of the time, Dreads just started going Valley. He just stopped coming up because he knew if he spammed 4 pipes, he would kill or light up one or both of your guys' scouts. And it's because both of you came out of the house basically every time. So in the future, don't do that. Going sniper on a last is okay. Some lasts more okay than others, except Badlands. Defensive sniper never accomplishes anything on Badlands. You will not be able to headshot the medic. They will not be attempting to milk their Uber against you. The only thing that you can possibly accomplish as a sniper is getting a pick that may delay their push a little bit, which you could do just as easily as basically any other class in the game, and you're going to make them pop like a half second earlier than they normally would if they know of your existence, which they likely will. As far as the team aspect, your guys' lasts were really ugly in that you had a pyro that was running around showing himself and never really did anything all that effectively. The pyro has to be a secret in order to work. You had your demo on the right side, which you cannot do, especially if you have a pyro. A lot of the times, four players on your team were on that right side of the map. And why not Uber into that? It gives so much damage potential to their pocket immediately. And it makes your Uber trash because it has to flash around to everybody so they don't die. I would have liked to see more heavy play on last out of you, if possible, if you feel the need to go some class in defense. Your off-classing was alright. Your spy plays were good. I don't remember if you ever went sniper for last and really did a whole lot. But when the only thing that you could really improve there, 2 points. One, you go into lobby too early sometimes, as does everyone else on your team, and they end up dying. And there's one portion of the video where you and the other team leapfrog over Spire like 3 or 4 times in a row because people from your team just run into lobby and die. They push out, you get some kills, you try to push back in and die. You just can't do that. You gotta slow down, group up, stay together, go into lobby, don't stand in spam lines. And also I would have liked to see you off class automatically in situations where you knew it was going to be needed. But yeah, other than that, your play was fine. I also really deeply appreciated that you ignored shooting at the medic in a lot of situations, a lot of transition combat fights. That was really refreshing. So thank you for that. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you the best of luck. Feel free to submit more demos in the future if you so desire.